it's FA Cup quarter-final week. You're one game away from Wembley. Excited?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, when it gets to this stage, obviously, you can't help but think of what might happen and where we can go as a team and as a club. It's going to be extremely tough for us, playing arguably the best team in the world, but you know, we've done okay against them. It's the FA Cup, so you never know.
You've spoken about your passion for this competition before. Why is the FA Cup so special to you?
I think I just love the history of it. You know, being brought up in this country, it's always been a massive part of football. I think obviously my dad and my granddad were very keen on the FA Cup, and you know, when they were growing up, that was sort of the only games that were on telly, the FA Cup final. So I think they sort of drilled in the importance of it, and I sort of soaked that up.
You seem genuinely so passionate about football. You love the game. We've got some lovely photography of you in the kind of retro Saints kit with the old leather football, and it seems like, you know, you love the history of the sport and the tradition that you're speaking about.
I'm a bit sad, and I sort of know an awful lot about football, and you know, people always laugh about it and say, like, sort of how do you know these things? And you know, sometimes I don't really know. I just sort of pick it up and you know, I read things, and yeah, it's just very interesting for me, and I love football, and I just want to know everything about it, and I like knowing those facts and the figures. Some people have other reasons for playing football. You know, some people just sort of fall into it. I feel like I'm quite lucky that I am so passionate about it, and I love it every day. Don't get me wrong, there's days where it is hard and frustrating, but you know, I do try and remember, you know, lucky to be in the position I am, and fortunate to have a job that I love.
How much does your kind of football upbringing help give you that perspective as well? Because obviously coming through the ranks at Plymouth Argyle and then serving your apprenticeship, if you like, in the lower leagues with the loan moves that you had from Southampton, is that added to kind of the gratitude and the appreciation that you feel for what you have now? You
know, even when I was playing sort of League One football with, you know, Plymouth, and then back on loan with Swindon and Coventry, I still loved it. It's the same game, so I still loved the thought of, you know, Saturday 3 o'clock, you know, it's a match day, and I don't think that will ever leave me, whatever level I'm playing at. You know, I always had a family that loved football, and even now my dad's, he still watches loads of games like me, and he'll still phone me up, you know, like in midweek and say, oh, did you see such and such scored for, you know, Wickham or Plymouth or Rotherham, and I say, yeah, I saw that, and you know, so he still follows, you know, players that I played with. Yeah, I know you still follow all of the clubs that you played for as well. I'm sure you're particularly happy with the Plymouth result last night, given the opposition. Yeah, obviously, you know, growing up playing for Plymouth and then moving to Southampton, obviously, it's almost like a double rivalry for me, because you know, both clubs have that rivalry with the lot down the road. So yeah, to see Plymouth do them last night, it was nice. Gave me a good smile. And bringing us back on to the FA Cup, it feels like because of the career that you've had, you've experienced kind of both sides of it. You're now with the Premier League club that has aspirations of winning the trophy, making history, but also you've kind of been there when you've been watching the third round draw and you want an Old Trafford or an Anfield. Does that again kind of feed into why this competition's special for you? Obviously, when you're playing in, you know, the Championship or League One or League Two, or even lower, the excitement of coming up against a big club, whether it's home or away, especially those early rounds, if you can pick up a couple of results, get a few decent draws, and then the big boys start to come in, that's where it starts to get really exciting. And even now, watching the draws, you know, I still get excited for those, you know, so-called smaller clubs, because I want them to get a good draw. Now playing for Southampton, and obviously we want, you know, a nice friendly draw. We've had a tough couple of draws actually. You know, scraped through in extra time at Swansea. I had to really fight against Coventry. I mean, they were brilliant and, you know, probably deserved to beat us on the day. Maybe we've had that little bit of luck, and you never know, we might go on and win it. Looking ahead to Sunday, it feels like the first time in the competition that we've gone into a game as the underdog. I mean, not many people outside of Southampton will see past a Man City win on Sunday. How much do you relish that? They're going to be the favourites, and rightly so. They're, like I said before, they're arguably the best team in the world, and you know, they're chasing a treble is what they'll be looking at. They're definitely going to be favourites, but like I say, it's on the day. We've had some good results in the past against them, and yeah, there's no reason why we can't beat them on Sunday.
Does part of you, when you're coming up against these, top stars, world-class players, do you quite enjoy getting under their skin a little bit?
I think you know the answer to that. Yeah, I think I think in the past we've had games not necessarily against Man City, but there's been times where the bigger teams sometimes expect us to just roll over for them. We've been on the end of some bad results, and that they quite often come in and be very complimentary about how we play, and you think, well, hold on a minute, you've just beat us 3-0 or 4-0. It's almost like a little bit patronising. And then when we've done well against them, you get the frustrations. We've had a few incidents in the tunnel after when we've had good results. So I think they do get frustrated when we get stuck into them and get a good result. We need to play fair, which I think we do. I don't think we cross any lines, but we have to be aggressive.
I was speaking to Armando recently. He assured me you're just as annoying to play against in training.
Yeah, I'll try and get under his skin in training. But listen, with players like Armando, he's obviously got fantastic potential, and he's had a really good season with us. I always want to, try and help him and all the young players. I always try and guide them through, and if they're going through a bit of a rough spell, I try and help them. And just by me being aggressive and hard on them in training, that's just my way of trying to make them better.
You mentioned at the start of the interview, the incentive of going back to Wembley and the chance to play there in the semi-final. Got to that stage a couple of times recently. How big is the motivation compared to last year to have the opportunity to potentially have 35, 40,000 Saints fans behind you, which would make it such a bigger occasion, I think?
From a personal point of view, it's almost a bit of desperation for me. I'm so desperate to get there again. The first semi-final I was suspended for, and then obviously last year I got left out for the game, which that hurt me a lot. For this club to be in the semi-final of the FA Cup, and I wasn't out on the pitch able to help. It was a big disappointment for me. So yeah, I'm obviously desperate to get back there. If we look back to sort of the League Cup final where we had 40,000 Saints fans, I mean, that day will never leave me, that atmosphere that we walked out to. So if we can get that again, then that'll be incredible.